some parts. So we just got our Chris Tandy rock bouncer. So we just got our Chris Tandy rock bouncer chassis in red in the mail. So what we're planning on doing with this guy is taking a completely stock deadbolt and putting it on here, and we'll show you what it looks like and maybe do a little bit of performance B-roll footage, just so you can see it crawling on some rocks and whatnot. But again, the idea here is to take a completely stock deadbolt and throw it on this chassis and show everybody what it looks like. And then obviously there's tons of people out there that have upgraded these things and put cool wheels and tires and all that, and they look amazing. From all the pictures I've seen and even some of the videos, they look and they perform amazing. But again, nobody's done it with a completely stock, and I like to show stuff from a completely stock standpoint. That way, if you went out and you bought a deadbolt, you can see exactly what it looked like just by adding the chassis alone and swapping everything out to the rock bouncer. So to start, you're going to need 14 screws. Okay, these screws aren't going to be in your stock deadbolt, so you're going to have 14 of the M1.4 by 5 millimeter screws to put the chassis together. All right, and we'll put a link in the description below to a couple of different chassis screw kits for the SCX24 that come with various sizes and whatnot. It's always good to have extra screws lying around. We're going with these black ones because we like the black and the red. So the chassis comes in 5 parts. You have the front, the roof, and then the rear, and then obviously your 2 sides. One of the things that I've already noticed about this chassis is that there is no place to actually mount an ESC or battery tray. So once we pull this all out and throw it in this new chassis, we're going to have to figure out a way to try to mount the battery and the ESC in here. Again, we're trying to do it, just take a stock and put it in here as easily as possible. I hear there's a V2 coming, and it looks like he may be trying to design trays for that are designated spots. I know that some of the apprehension in designing trays or tray mounts is that not everybody wants to mount their electronics and their battery the same. So a lot of people end up fabbing that stuff anyway. But I think there's a huge benefit in being able to just, again, take something stock and throw it in there and at least have a starting point. And then from there, if you want to chop up your battery tray to get a lower CG or drill new holes in the chassis itself, to be able to put your battery tray lower or customize a battery tray, or even have a 3D printed version that maybe is with this file where you can 3D print that tray and then maybe even later modify it, or have multiple mounting positions for the tray even, or multiple tray options. That could be good. But again, this is just a basic chassis, and it's a V1. So far it looks good. The quality seems pretty good. I mean, the print quality, I didn't print this myself. Many people will print their own, and so the quality is going to vary based on your print. But I got mine directly from Chris Tandy himself, and he did a good job printing it. I haven't had to go through and really modify anything. All the holes are drilled properly so far, it seems. I've already mounted some stuff and test fitted some screws. There is a little bit of kind of flash up here on these top mounts, just a little bit, but that's fine. We'll clean that up. Nothing big. Again, it's 3D printed. If you're not willing to do some dremeling and sanding and trimming, especially in crawlers and especially in 3D printed crawlers, then it's not for you. But I suggest everybody take a risk. If you've never done something like that, get one of these guys to 3D print one of these for you, or buy one of their 3D printed sets and get in there and kind of chop things up, clean things up, customize things. I mean, if you've never done it, it's really fun. You learn a lot. Don't be scared to break things. These aren't crazy expensive. It's not like you're breaking a $500 piece. It's literally a few bucks. And a lot of times you can fix what you break. So just get in there and get your hands dirty. I'm a big advocate of that. I feel like this day and age, we don't see it as often as we should, especially in younger people. So using your hands, getting creative, trimming, cutting, sanding, dremeling, screwing, fitting, welding. I don't weld, but soldering, all that stuff is slowly becoming less common. So anyway, enough of my rant. Let's continue. I guess one last point I'd like to make on that is that we have hope with the 3D printing. So I think that's one thing that 3D printing is really helping push, is that creative maker side, where you're being creative, you're building something, you're using your hands, you're designing, and of course with 3D printing, you've got to fix fitments and stuff like that. So you're learning how to do that stuff and problem solve. And so that's a good thing. 3D printing is huge for that. But with all the RCs now going ready to run and people just wanting to be able to pop it out of a box and drive it, I understand that, and I love those. I love ready to runs. I think every major RC type should have good ready to runs, but there's also something about getting in and building and making it your own. So anyway, rant over. So the only thing we had to do is file down or Dremel these mounting points out a little bit. They were a little too narrow, and I like it to fit a little better. And once we get the screws in there, hopefully it'll look a little tighter, but I mean, that's to be expected. Other than that, everything lines up and all the holes are perfect. Everything's great. It's a good looking chassis. I just confirmed there is a V2 coming, and so that should be very exciting. I hear the V2 has mounting points for lights and a possible battery or ESC mounting tray of some sort, and more shock mounting positions and stuff. So we're super excited to see that one. And when it comes out, we will we'll see if we can get one, and we'll do the same thing with the new version. So something I wanted to kind of show would be what this chassis will look like on the stock Deadbolt. And basically, as long as you line up your belly plate, you can kind of see where your wheels are going to sit, your wheels and tires, right? Because you're going to have the same length fronts and rear links. So you're basically going to be able to sit like this. You know, you're probably a little bit higher, so sort of like that, right? With the Deadbolt chassis. So you got kind of a longer, draggy rear with a little shorter, stubby front, right? Okay. And then we also have the new Bronco, which is the same as the C10. And we have a C10 upstairs, but it's not completely stock. So we'll show you on the new Bronco. If you line up the belly plates, if you have a C10 or Jeep JLU or the new Bronco, this chassis would basically look more like this, right? So a much longer front and a shorter rear, right? Now, I think this makes more sense for a rock bouncer. So I think this is ideal with probably the C10 JLU Bronco link lengths. It's a little bit more centered, right? A little more balanced, probably. But we like the, I like that kind of longed out, hot roddy look, make it lower. We'll see what we can do when we start to mount the shocks and stuff. But I like that little kind of hot rod look, right? Especially if you were going to make it fast and put a fast motor in there and just kind of rip it around. That looks really cool. A little less rock crawler like, but definitely looks fast. So anyway, and you can mix it up too, I'm sure, if you were to take the longer rears off of a Deadbolt, right? And then the little bit longer fronts. You could end up with something, you know, where you've got a little bit longer wheelbase. I don't know how the shock positions are going to work there, but again, you can tinker with it, and we're going to see how it works on the Deadbolt, and then you can assume from there how it might work on the other ones, or if you were to switch your links up. But it'll work for either one, the C10 chassis or the Deadbolt Betty chassis. Again, it's the C10 JLU and the new Bronco, and then the Betty and the Deadbolt. Now, as far as Gladiator links, these are actually Gladiator links. They are much, much, much longer, and so you would probably have a rear end that looked something like that, honestly. Right, all the way to the rear, and then your fronts are still going to be up in the front, so that'd be a very long wheelbase. And I don't think that one would work so well unless you had really long double barrel shocks. Who knows? It's all about tinkering. Oh, by the way, how cool are the little red accents on those stock wheels with our homemade wheel weights? Those are homemade wheel weights in there out of lead, and I've got a tutorial on that. I'll put it right over here, right up there. You can go check out all the upgrades we're doing on this Bronco on the super cheap, or free upgrade, super cheap, you know. All right, so we've got our chassis all together here, and we're literally just gonna take this and pull a few bolts off and swap it over. So let's do that. So it's literally 12 bolts, 6 on each side, and you can pull the whole thing out. Bam. So yeah, servo. You get the whole thing out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. Yep, 12 bolts. Then we can take it, swap it over to here. One of the things I love about these little trucks is they're so easy to work on. They're so modular. Like, I don't know if modular is the right word, but they're easy to work on. It's pretty low part count overall. And there's so much you can do with them. They're so customizable, which makes them awesome. So when you're putting your drive shafts back in, always make sure they're in phase, which basically just means having the links facing the same direction. As you can see the screw hole here, you want to make sure that that's facing the same direction as the screw hole on the other side. It's kind of hard to see. You're not going to be able to see it, but my screw hole is facing up now. And so, oh, you know what? We actually want it facing that way. So now the screw hole is on this side on here and this side on here. So they're both facing up on the truck, so that when we put them in, we are in phase, is what it's called. And that'll help prevent any kind of binding or jumping that happens, like the shaking, things of that nature. It basically allows the knuckles to all move the same, the U-joints. All right, and now that we're in there, we can get our link in. And we can put this link in. That's gonna be cool. So you can see this a little bit better. So there's our screw. And then we want to make sure that on this side, there's our screw. That way when we put it together, the screw is facing down towards the bottom of the truck on both sides. All right, boom. Now we just got to get our shocks on. We're gonna go ahead and mount the shocks. Now we don't know exactly how we want them mounted, so we're just gonna mount them kind of in the center for now. And then once we kind of mess with it, we can adjust them. So we'll put them a little more forward. We're gonna put them toward the forward position on this. So far, we haven't had to ream anything out, although these shocks might be a little tight in the holes, so we might have to drill a little hole in there to make enough space. But I don't know, so far we're going in, I think. Yeah, it's kind of tight. Yeah, so we're gonna have to drill a little bit of a hole. It's just the holes that are there are just not big enough, and we were told that we'd probably have to. I thought maybe we could get there, but we're not able to. So we got to drill a little bit of hole, little bitty hole. Like I said, we're just gonna go ahead and put it in the most forward mounted position, and we'll do it on this side. And then here, we'll do the same thing. We'll do this rear and this rear. That'll get us the most articulation. All right, there you go. Bam. Pretty cool. All set up. Now we just need to dump our electronics in there and we're good to go. We have to pull our ESC off of our board, off of our stock. Do we have an extra ESC you can throw in? Let me look. No, they're all fried. They're all fried. So I guess we're just gonna pop this off, which kind of sucks. We probably should just steal a ESC from something else, but we can re-glue this back on, I guess. There we go. battery will go on there, in there somewhere. So again, I think I mentioned already that my biggest problem with this particular chassis is there's no shelf at all. There's no tray to mount anything onto. So that really kind of sucks. It'd be nice to have just a single tray anywhere in here that you could just set stuff on, so it's not just kind of floating in there. But again, you're supposed to build something or make a custom one or whatever, and I get that. I just like to have stuff kind of easy for people so that people don't have to fab too much. I mean, I enjoy it, but not everybody does, and it's nice to have the option to not have to fab something. So that's kind of why I like the idea of an ESC tray, even if it's something I can modify. All right, so there we go. And I guess we can just sit our battery right on top. Steal the battery out of the Bronco. Just plug it in. And stuff it in there. Kind of just sit it on the side, I guess. I don't know the best way to put it in there right now. We're just going to stick it in there and make it work. Let's scoot this ESC over a little bit and try to balance this. Here we go. Kind of put it along the side, I guess. Either way, we're in there. Our antenna keeps trying to sneak out. No sneaking antenna. All right. Bam, just like that. That's pretty fun. Pretty fun little setup there. We'll have to get some shots of it running. It's super light. I mean, it's way light. That's one of the benefits of these guys. All right, let's go play. So this is what you are left with. The stock deadbolt chassis and battery trays and body, and you get this guy here. How cool is that? Super easy, 12 screws. Just unscrew the 12 screws. Basically 4, and then the 2 shocks. And you got this into this. I like it. So I'm going to be honest, this little thing was far more fun and more capable than I expected. Even with the all the electronics, I don't know if you can see it, they're just sitting in there. They're literally just flopping around inside there. So you have a lot of shifting happening and whatever. The body weight is not not balanced and all kinds of goofiness. However, it was still super capable. I mean, you saw. And that, again, that's all stock. This is 100% stock deadbolt. That was fun. That was a blast. I like this little thing. I'm excited for version 2. One of the things that I realized after we kind of hastily put it together because we were excited, but the shock geometry in the front on the deadbolt is not good. They're kind of leaning forward. That is not ideal. You lose a lot of articulation. I mean, kind of cool if you're doing like a rock bouncer or something, just you want to make it go fast. It's super light. Just put a badass motor in there, an ESC and a better servo and just go. And this would be awesome for that with the deadbolt links and setup. But for crawling, not good. Also, another thing of note, because it's the deadbolt length, look at this, your servo actually hits, right? If you're doing any kind of compression on your suspension, you're actually hitting. So that's not good. I would highly recommend, I think this setup is going to be, I like kind of this back here and this shock angle here. So I think you want the deadbolt rear and I think you want the C10 front just to get it forward a little more so you can get a better angle on your shocks, at least get them vertical, because going reverse against your geometry here, that's not how you want it, right? You want it to go in toward your links to get more articulation. I mean, this isn't horrible, it's just not ideal. Again, you're very limited in your articulation. It actually kind of binds a little bit because that's not really how they should be set up. Anyway, beyond that, I think if you slap the C10 fronts in there or just got it longer so that you get your angle back a little bit, this would be badass. It's fun as it is. Like I said, it's still capable. Clearly we're able to climb even with that setup. But for a straight up stock deadbolt, if you're bored with your stock deadbolt or your stock C10 and you're just bored and you don't really want to upgrade a bunch of stuff and you want something totally different, this is the way to go. It totally changes the way the vehicle feels. Much lower center of gravity. It's lighter. I don't know. It feels different and it's super fun and it looks cool. And again, it's not like you have to totally upgrade a bunch of stuff. I'm sure if you put a little bit bigger tires on here, metal wheels, a little bit of weight maybe, it would be much further capable. Also, again, this stuff needs to not slop around and flop around in there. We're not mounting it because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet. But again, to show you guys, we just figured we'd stuff it in there. Anyway, version 2 is coming and I am excited. Super excited. This is cool. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe. And like and comment. Tell me, have you built one of these? Do you like it? What would you do? What color would you get? Come on, guys. Tell me what you liked. And hit the bell button. The bell. Ding. Yeah.